Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grand Page. I am your most humble and obedient servant, Page Ghost. Today I want to talk about Isom number 1. For anybody who follows Eric July, he just released the pre-order campaign for Isom number 2. So this is going to be a huge spoiler talk for Isom number 1 in preparation for the release of Isom number 2. Before we actually get into the book and the spoilers, my general overview of the book, it's good. I liked it a lot. It's not anything epic. It's not on some grand scale adventure or anything like that. It's a very simple story about a man trying to help out a family friend and sort of the trouble that he runs into along the way. Very simple story, and that simple story was trying to do a lot. It was trying to tell a story about Isom, and it was trying to set up an entire universe. So it wasn't going to be an easy task to be done, but I would say that Ripa did a pretty good job of setting up the world and setting up the main character for his comic. So whether you're getting into comics for the first time, or if you're a fan of comics from before and you really don't like where comics have gone since then, I'd say this is a pretty decent pickup. It's at least a good read. So without further ado, that the book does get my recommendation. I do recommend that you go and get it. If you want to get it without getting Isom 2, you'll probably have to wait until the pre-order campaign is done, because right now his focus is most likely on putting out Isom number 2. Once the pre-order campaign is done, you should be able to get a copy of Isom number 1 alone, no problem. So with that, this is the spoiler territory. We're going to be going through the entire book, just talking about my thoughts and things I liked, even things that I didn't like, and maybe some hopes for future Ripaverse content. So in case you didn't notice, I did pick up the A cover. I loved this pose of Isom. He's front and center. Not to say that B and C covers were bad at all, but I just didn't like the other characters kind of sharing the space with him. This is Isom number 1, so I wanted that cover to be all about Isom. I kind of did a similar I made a similar decision with my Isom number 2. So without further ado, we'll start breaking into this book. Nice little picture of Isom and his niece. And then on the other side here, you see him fighting some goons. Some classic comic book action. A little letter from Eric July talking about the importance of the customer. Then here we get a shot of what looks like a police station, and says she's back. This most likely is foreshadowing Yaira. We'll talk more about her as we continue through the book. And then here we get to Isom finally. Here's the thing though, for those of you that don't know, he actually has stopped being Isom for a long time. He's got this ranch, and he does work on it, and he hasn't been a superhero for a really, really long time. And so then, his sister at Projexus calls him up for a favor. I'm interested to see where Projexus comes into play in future stories. I definitely get the LexCorp / Tony Stark Industries or Stark Industries vibe from Projexus, so I'm very curious to see what goes on with that. So I'm very, very excited. about where Projexis will be going, where Projexis is projected to go in the story. Pun intended. The pun should always be intended. I love this this panel right here. I think I saw it in some of his promotional materials, and love the shot then. I love it here too, but such a major shot, almost like a hero pose kind of thing. But really, he's asking, like, what's this situation got to do with me? What do I have to do with this bad situation that one of your potential employees got into? So I find it interesting that we have such a cool shot in an otherwise unimportant, unheroic scene of super heroic pose, but not a super heroic scene. But it just shows that Eric July and all the guys working on this, Cliff Richards, Gabe Al-Taib, they all cared about every single panel of this. So I've loved this shot. Really, really cool. Also wondering what kind of trouble these two are going to get into. This is Isom's sister. She's the one asking for the favor. I'm wondering, with her being a part of Projexis, how often that's going to put them at odds with each other. So very interested to see where that's going to go. So then he's off to go on his adventure. And then here we have our first shot of Yaira. Already a fan favorite amongst people picking up the comic. I think personally that she is some kind of alien. A lot of her promotional shots have involved some sort of background with space. That gives me the sense that she's most likely some kind of alien. So I don't think she's actually an accept, like Isom is and other superheroes. I think she's actually an alien. Now, whether or not aliens are included in the accept title, that's a completely different discussion. I'm not sure. Not all questions were answered with this book, and actually a lot more questions were brought up because of this book. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It makes readers want to come back and read more. So my position is she's some kind of alien. So that's how she has her powers, and we'll see. I don't know if aliens fall under the accept category, but nonetheless, that's her. And then she has some action with an Alpha Corps member. Also very excited for the later on in the year releases for Alpha Corps 1 and especially Yaira number 1. I think that's going to be very exciting. So then here we got Isom doing the favor for his sister. Let's see. Where's that first mention of accepts? I don't think it's here yet. Wow. Could have sworn there was a mention of accepts somewhere here. But we also get our first look at Isom's powers. So, talking about accepts in general, I gotta admit personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the term accepts. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. I feel like just spelling it full out, something like exceptionals, would work a little bit better. That's just a personal gripe of mine. It's not necessarily an actual problem with the book. It's just the term accept doesn't really flow off the tongue for me. But that's what superpowered beings in this universe are called. They're called accepts. Again, whether or not it includes aliens, that's a whole nother discussion. We know Isom for sure is an accept. As you can see there in that bloody panel, he at least has super strength, and as we continue on, we'll find out that he has some kind of durability. There it is. There's you're hiring XEPs. Got another jacked dude there. But yeah, we don't really know how XEPs fit into this universe, how they got their powers, if they're something like mutants like the X-Men, or if they're just considered superpowered beings, and how they got their powers doesn't really matter. It's like a catch-all phrase sort of thing. But Avery was doing pretty good here, and then this jacked guy comes in and completely throws him off guard. I don't think he was expecting to fight an XEP there. He gets thrown into Yaira, and then Yaira promptly hands him his ass. So, but in the not thought bubbles per se, but in the words here, he talks about his limitations with powers. This one's going to be tough. I've trained my body to do things people like me shouldn't be able to do, but unfortunately for me, flying isn't one of them. So that kind of gives us a hint at how he got his powers. It sounds like he kind of had to work for him. Almost like a awakening of the powers, so to speak. Maybe something like Deadpool, where he had to put severe stress on his body in order to get his strength and durability. However, he might have gotten strength and durability, but he wasn't able to get that flying. And that puts him in the hospital. Quick little side note, this will add to that all of the Rippa haters were talking about how he has ads in his book. How dare he? This actually helped me out. This helped me out a lot. I got this book around my wife's birthday, and I checked out the website, and I saw some earrings that I thought my wife would like, and lo and behold, she did really like them. So shout out to Lady Rippa and her store. Really good quality items, and shout out to Young Rippa for putting this ad in. He helped out this guy and making his wife happy. So thanks, man. Appreciate it. This is back at Isom's ranch. I'm interested to see what this guy's doing, because as he says here, we're gonna need someone to replace our boss. The guy's been gone for a day, maybe? I don't think he's even been gone for 24 hours, and he's already talking about replacing Avery. So, I'm getting some shady vibes from this dude right here. Just saying. Already trying to throw the man under the bus. So, Avery escapes from the hospital, most likely because he's an accept. He'll heal just fine. He's not worried about it. Gets picked up by his sister. And then something's going on the ranch. Someone left the door open. Bit of a cliffhanger there. Moving on. A little introduction to some other potential characters in the Rippa universe. I think if the Rippaverse, I think if you got the Dokemon cards, you would have seen a little bit more about these characters here and what part they might have to play in the Rippaverse. I didn't get the cards. It's a little too much money for me. I just got the comic. Okay, so then Avery tries to go back. Love that persistence, that determination to help out somebody. So when he started out, he was doing it for a friend of the family. He was doing this for a family friend. And then he goes back because of ego. So he's certainly not a hero. He's not something like Superman where you do the right thing because it's the right thing per se. So we got a little bit of character flaws here. But then you have this moment where he's genuinely concerned for Jasmine. Most likely he's seen the shadiness of the club that he got thrown out of. And he's genuinely concerned for her and what she's doing, making sure that she's safe. So you get a little bit of that Isom heroism here. Maybe he was more of a hero before he retired, and he, got jaded by something that occurred during his early Isom years, and that's why he stopped being a hero. But either way, you got a little bit of heroics here. He lets go of the ego. He lets go of how the guys hurt him earlier. And he just asks Jasmine if she's okay. She doesn't give him anything, so we'll keep seeing what happens from there. And again, starts beating up some regular dudes, getting some nice comic book action. Really good comic book action here. Like I said, it's not really an epic tale. It's just trying to tell a personal story about Isom, helping out a friend, and also trying to set up a universe. It's a lot to do all in one comic. But you also got 96 good, solid pages of action. This term here, apparently a lot of people were upset with this catch the street term. I didn't know it was slang for something, but if you just read the comic, like a normal human being, and get some context clues, you can kind of essentially catch what the term means. So the fact that people, Ripa's detractors, were trying to say, he puts stuff in his comics that mean weird things, or whatever they were trying to say about this term, this phrase. It made absolutely no sense. You use context clues, you can basically figure out what this means in the comic itself. And then finally, these guys have a rematch, and Avery is able to beat him. Oops, skipped it a little much. Oh, good shot. That's a really good shot right there. Really, really good shot. Good fight. Also, you saw a little bit of that fight in the animation trailer that he released for Isom 2. He has to promptly get out of there because the police. A little bit of a editing mistake there. Not a big deal, but just a little thing. It's actually sometimes kind of fun to see stuff like that. So a little bit of an editing mistake, but certainly not the end of the world. But we see Avery, and he might not have kids of his own, but he's got a surrogate kid of sorts. He's got his little niece there. So nice little heartfelt moment. He sees someone that he can fight for, someone he can be better for. It's good. He's certainly not done with his mission. Like I said, he's kind of taking it personal now. But he needs to see someone about a suit. And oh man, I wish I'd seen more of it in the comic, but I get why they put it at the end. Because it just leaves you wanting more. You get your first shot, in the comic at least, of Isom wearing his costume. Cool design too. I like it. So overall, really, really good read. Cool here. We aren't done quite yet, because the Rippaverse is just getting started. And then we get a little sneak peek at a comic that I guess we're not getting this year, but we'll get it eventually. Oh yeah, he is definitely winning. Definitely winning. Funny that he puts an ad in for his own comic company, though. But all of those pages were a little teaser for Norfolka. I'm starting to see a pattern because this also isn't the best name, at least from my perspective. Again, Exceps doesn't really roll off the tongue. Norfolka doesn't really roll off the tongue. I know what he's trying to do: Norse mythology, African mythology. So I see what he's trying to do there, and it's clever at least. But it doesn't roll off the tongue. But if and when we get our first comic of Norfolka, I think I'm definitely gonna back that campaign for sure. Then we got Ill Advised Part 2. That's Isom number 2 coming up. His the ethic for the Rippaverse. The importance of the customer, canon continuity, and a comprehensive timeline. No multi-universe crap. So here's an example of why I think Yara is an alien. A lot of pictures with her, the backdrop or the background has something to do with space or being out in the stars, whatever the case. So I'm pretty sure Yara is an alien. But hopefully we'll find out in Yara number 1, coming out sometime in the winter. So, like I said, really solid first book. It was trying to do a lot with only 96 pages. This had to set up a universe, but it also had to tell a personal story about Isom. So, if you're worried you're not going to get enough of Isom, or if you're not going to get enough of, the Rippaverse, certainly no need to necessarily pick up this book, but if you pick up books after this one and you don't have this one, you might be missing out on some important details. That's where the continuity comes in and why that's going to be important. Me personally, I'm going to continue to get Isom. I'm definitely getting Yaira later on this year. And I'm still on the fence on whether or not I'm going to get Alpha Core. Really, my main concern is if I don't get Alpha Core, I'll probably be missing out on some events that happen in it. So I'll just go and say I'll probably end up getting it. All I really ever get is the comic anyway, and it's only like $30 or $40. But yeah, that's at least sort of a spoiler talk, getting ready and hyped for Isom 2 coming out in a couple months. Very, very excited. I was one of those day 1 or day 2 purchasers. Very, very excited. Aside from those site crashes, the purchasing experience is just fine. It's like a regular store pretty much. So if you're worried about the site crashes and stuff, just pick it up on like day 2 or 3 whenever they fix the crash issues. If I'm not mistaken, his latest videos have been saying that he's got it all fixed and everything. So if you haven't gotten your copy of Isom 2 yet, now might be a good time. If you didn't get Isom 1 and you think you're definitely going to be interested, there's a bundle pack called the Catch-Up Pack, where it comes with a copy of Isom number 1 and Isom number 2. But keep in mind, this cover is no longer available. All right. This was very limited in quantity. He didn't expect the amount of excitement that this book was going to get. He also didn't expect $3.7 million. So you're not going to be able to get this cover. But at the very least, I think you can get cover C. Might be able to get cover B. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, you can get that catch-up bundle if you haven't seen Isom number 1 at all. And it'll get you a copy of Isom 1 and Isom 2. Just one with a different cover. But that's going to be it for today. I'm very excited for Isom number 2. It's going to come out in a couple months here. And I'm going to wait a nice long time for a spoiler talk with that one too. And make sure everybody has a chance to read it, talk about it with their own friends and whatnot. And let Rippaverse just kind of sit in the glory of being a successful comic book company. Anyways, until next time,